Hello everyone, ARG back with some more Franchise Hockey Manager 8 action, still playing with the Kings, still chasing the Stanley Cup that we need to complete the challenge. And ho ho ho, happy holidays to everybody. Today is the 24th, in case you're catching this on YouTube later, so I'm doing my part to try to bring joy into the world by going live on Christmas Eve. I'm not sure that it's going to bring joy in the world, but you know. Alright, so last time out I was joined for most of my stream by my old pal. Well, he's not that old, but you know what I mean. So GT Dutch joined me, and we spent quite some time at the end of the stream trying to get a trade going. We finally got one for Joe Ricky. We had to give up on trying to get Yves Racine, which would have been a little bit of a better fit for my team. I think I only have really one puck-moving defenseman in Gary Galley, so that would have been nice to get Yves Racine as well. So prior to the stream here today, I pulled the trigger on another trade. It's not a big trade, but it's gonna help bolster my depth on D a little bit. So again, it's not a superstar that I got, but it's somebody that should be able to play at the NHL level. So I shopped Mark Fitzpatrick because I cannot keep him, and I didn't want to lose him for nothing. And I was offered Adam Burt, and I decided to just do that trade 1-for-1. I didn't go and try to make it a bigger trade or anything like that. So yeah, Mark Fitzpatrick is now in Hartford, and we have Adam Burt. Burt needed a contract extension, which I am offering right now, and I sent him to the minors for now because I could. So yeah, that's not forever, but for now he's gonna be in there. I have a suspicion that I might get some room next season, and hopefully by then he's at least a star and a half or something like that. But yeah, so Adam Burt, now part of the LA Kings, should be able to play on the third pair and not look too foolish, I wouldn't think. Now, those of you that are older like me and that played the good old, NHL 93 and NHL 94, stuff like that, Adam Burt had a good shot. I remember that from him. He had a hard slap shot. But anyway, alright, so today we're going to do at least March. I might have time for more after that, so we'll see what happens with that. But we are at least doing the month of March. It's going to start with a second of home, 2 consecutive home games against the Jets. And then we're going to hit the road for a little bit. So yeah, we are still third in the conference. Still 5 points behind the Flames. We did play one more game than them, so yeah, it's gonna be kind of tough to catch up to them. We have Randy Ladouceur that's still hurt for a couple weeks, and then Luc Robitaille is slowly about to come back, so that's nice. Also of note, Chicago has taken Minnesota's spot as top of their division there. Minnesota was first in their division and second in the conference for most of this season, but they had a slew of injuries, namely to Bellows and Broughton, I think. But anyway. Alright, so we have the day off today, and then after that we are going to be hosting the Jets. I hope everybody has, or is going to have, or add, depending on when you're watching that, nice holidays. So yeah, now is the time, despite COVID and everything, now is the time to be there for your loved ones, for people that you care about. That's what it's all about. And getting those fat presents, because who doesn't like free loot, right? Alright, no miss time for Vancouver's Stan Schmill, not suspended over there. McNall is still satisfied with my work. Adam Burt signed his contract extension. There was another player that I was offered that I thought about which was Rob Gaudreau, was offered to me by Pittsburgh, but I decided to go with the defenseman. That's where I have the least amount of depth. There were other interesting players that were offered to me, but I couldn't go for Mike Dunham being one of them, and Keith Jones was also offered to me. Ooh, that's a pretty big trade. The Islanders and the Flyers here pulling the trigger on the trade. Steve Duchesne going with the Flyers in exchange for Tim Kerr, while Tim Kerr going with the Islanders. Now that's something. And Steve Duchesne with the Flyers. That's a pretty big trade. I like it. Even though it's going to be weird to see Tim Kerr with the Islanders, I still like it. Alright, so Winnipeg is in town. Winnipeg is 26-35-7 this season. That's good for 7th in the conference. They keep dropping. We are 5-1-1 against them this season. Come on, guys, let's go. Alright, Bob Essensa is going to be in net for the Jets. We are going to go with, who else? Arthurs Irby. He's been a superstar. I think he's going to win the Vizina and the Calder. And it is a 5-2 victory for the Kings to get things started this month. Good start to the month here. We outshot the Jets 33-32. Wayne Gretzky was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Randy Wood was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Ray Shepherd was the third star with 2 goals and an assist. Full crowd yet again here in Inglewood. Ray Shepherd opened up the scoring in the first. That was his 35th of the season on the power play from Randy Wood and Gary Galley. Then Randy Wood scored from Gerald Deduck and Wayne Gretzky. It was 2-0, and then the Jets scored, made it 2-1 after 1. Then in the second period, Gary Galley scored on the power play from Wayne Gretzky and Ray Shepherd. And then Mike Gartner from Wayne Gretzky and Scott Arniel made it 4-1. And then the Jets scored. It was 4-2 Kings after 2. And in the third period, we added one more goal. Ray Shepherd scored short-handed in an empty net from Gerald Deduck and Randy Wood. It was 5-2. There was a fight between Gerald Deduck and Andrew McBain. And yeah. Alright, so I did see that Ron Wilson got tossed out of the game and he got suspended for boarding. He's going to miss 6 games. Joel Otto in Calgary is also suspended. He's going to miss 3 games. Yari Curry has racked up 500 goals in his career. He had a goal against Montreal. Yari Curry is 30. He is still a 5-star player. No one could stop Sylvain Turgeon. He had a hat-trick against the Nordics. A red light stays on for Brian Lawton. He had a hat-trick as well against the Leafs. There was no stopping Tim Kerr. Celebrated his arrival with his new team. He had a hat-trick against the Capitals. Bernie Nichols extends his goal streak to 6 games. In that same game, he had a goal. Those are the new players. Alright, we have 2 days off and then we're going to be in Washington to play against the Capitals. John Ogrodnik extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal against the Flyers. And Luc Robitaille is starting to feel better. Right, and now we're in Washington to play the Caps. Looks like Washington turned it around slightly. They are 29, 27, and 10 so far this season. We are 1-1 against Washington. Right, come on, Kings, give me another good game here. Artis here be in net for us. Clint Malarchuk in net for the Caps. Go Kings! Oh, we lost 7-4. Not our best showing there. We were outshot 37-32. Mike Miller was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Kelly Miller was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Grant Ledyard was the third star with a goal. Washington scored twice in the first period. They were up 2-0 after one. Then we tied the game in the second period. Alexander McGillney scored from Ken Baumgartner and Dan Gratton. Then Wayne Gretzky from Gary Volk and Scott Arniel tied at 2. At that point, Washington scored, then we tied again. Gary Gaddy scored his 20th from Scott Arniel and Mike Ridley. It was tied at 3. Then Washington scored again. It was 4-3 Washington after 2. And in the third period, they added 3 more goals, made it 7-3. Wayne Gretzky scored from Alexei Gusarov and Mike Gartner, but we were still 3 down with 2:54 left to go. And we couldn't tie it. So a 7-4 loss here. Usually we're pretty good on the road, so maybe it's just a little bump. Andrew Castles keeps improving at left wing. I don't want for him to convert at left wing, so I need him at center. That'll teach me for not being the coach. Alright, so we are going to have a couple of days off, and then we're going to be playing in Pittsburgh against the Pens. Another Mario against Wayne matchup there. Dynamic passing leads to productive night for Steve Yzerman, who had a goal and 5 assists against the Nordics. Pretty good game for Stevie Y. Brett Hull has a good game as well. 3 goals and an assist against Hartford. Pat LaFontaine extends his assist streak to 8 games. He had 2 goals and an assist against the New Jersey Devils. Oh, Ray Bourque is hurt in Boston. That's gonna hurt them. 3 weeks with a pinched nerve in his neck. In that same game, Cam Neely extended his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and an assist against the Leafs. And Luc Robitaille getting closer to a return. We could use him. We definitely could use him. Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 13 games. He had a goal and an assist against the Devils. And Luc Robitaille really close to come back. Alright, against Pittsburgh, it's probably going to be tough. Pittsburgh is 39-21-7. They're pretty strong. Of course, they have Mario Lemieux. They do not have Jaromir Jagr or Ron Francis or anything like that, but they are still pretty strong. We are 2-0 against Pittsburgh this season. Right, Artus Herbe is going to be back in net for us. Don Beaupre is going to be in net for the Pens. Come on, go Kings. I need a W. And I got it. 4-2 win here in Pittsburgh against Mario and the Pens. So Wayne winning the battle yet again. We were outshot 34-28 in that one. Gerald Deduck was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Parker, whatever his first name is, Jeff, was the second star with a goal, and Ken Baumgartner was the third star with 2 assists. So Pittsburgh opened up the scoring in the first period. It was 1-0 Pittsburgh. Then in the second period, Alexei Gusarov scored from Ken Baumgartner and Gerald Deduck. Then Wayne Gretzky from Gerald Deduck and Randy Wood. 2-1 Kings here after 2. There was a fight between Troy Loney and Joe Rickey. Oh, Joe Rickey that we recently acquired got into a fight. And Pittsburgh tied the game early in the third period, but then Alexander McGillney scored from Dan Gratton and Ken Baumgartner, and then Mike Gartner scored his 40th goal of the season from Jeff Smith and Mike Ridley. 4-2 Kings, and that was the end of the game. Nice 4-2 victory. Ron Duguay improves at left wing. A couple of days off, and then we're going to play in Quebec against the Nordics. No additional miss time for Peter Klima with the Red Wings. No suspension there. Pat LaFontaine's assist streak ended at 8 games. He was held scoreless against the Wings. John Ogrodnik extends his goal streak to 6 games. 2 goals against the Nordics. And Luc Robitaille is fully recovered. That is great news. Alright, we are going to go here, and then we are going to put Luc Robitaille back in the lineup, and we're going to send down Robert Klein. Alright, one more day off, and then we're playing the Nordics. Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 14 games with 2 assists against the Hawks. Bernie Nichols has a good game, 3 goals and an assist against the Jets. And Randy Ladouceur is starting to feel better. Alright, so in Quebec to play the Nordics. Nordics are 22-41-5, still struggling over there. We are 1-1 against the Nordics this season. Another W here would feel pretty good. Luc Robitaille back on the first line, of course, with Gretzky and Gardner. Right, Artus Irbe is going to be in net for us. Rolly Melanson, former King, is going to be in net for the Nordics. Come on, Kings, let's go. 3-1 win. So 3-1 victory. We outshot the Nordics 35-24. Andrew Castles was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Alfie Turcotte was the second star with an assist, and Gary Galley was the third star with an assist as well. Right, so no scoring in the first. Tommy Albeline fought Rick Green, and then Stephen Finn fought Joe Rickey. Then in the second period, Andrew Castle scored from Gary Valk and Sylvain Couturier. Then the Nordiques tied the game. Then Mike Gartner scored from Gary Galley and Wayne Gretzky. And then Alexander Mogilny scored his 30th from Andrew Castles and Sylvain Couturier. 3-1 Kings after 2. And nobody scored in the third, so 3-1 was our final score today. Sorry. Ooh, Peter Stastny got hurt against us, and he's gonna be out for 4 months. Fractured knee. Peter Stastny is starting to decline. He's only a 2.5-star player now. Dino Ciccarelli reaches 900 points in his career. He had a goal against Detroit. Dino Ciccarelli is 31 years old and still a 4-star player. No missed time for Calgary's Perry Berezan, not suspended. And Joel Otto is back from suspension with the Flames as well. Alright, very next day, we are now going to be in Montreal to play against the Canadiens. Montreal is 28-38-4, struggling a little bit in Habs land. We are 2-0 against the Habs this season. Right, we're going to go with Glenn Ely for that one. Brian Hayward is going to be in net for Montreal. Go Kings! Oh yeah, 7-1 win. We've had a couple shellackings at the Forums. We did win 10-1 earlier this season as well, and now a 7-1 shellacking. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, we outshot Montreal 34-18. Alexander Mogilny, really good game. First star, 2 goals and 3 assists. Wayne Gretzky was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Andrew Castles was the third star with 2 assists. Mike Gartner opened up the scoring in the first from Wayne Gretzky and Luc Robitaille. Then Scott Arniel from Dan Gratton and Alexander Mogilny. It was 2-0 Kings at that point. Montreal scored. It was 2-1 Kings after 1. Alright, then in the second period, Alexander Mogilny scored from Randy Wood and Mike Ridley. Then Mogilny again unassisted. Then Gary Valk scored his 5th from Andrew Castles and Ken Baumgartner. 5-1 Kings at that point. And then Dan Gratton added one more before the end of the period from Andrew Castles and Alexander Mogilny. It was 6-1 Kings after 2. And then in the third period, Wayne Gretzky scored from Joe Riccio, first point with the Kings. And Alexander Mogilny, 7-1 Kings. There was a fight between Daryl Sidor and Gerald Deduck. Mike Gartner has reached 500 goals in his career. Wow, so that goal that he scored was the 400th of his career. Gartner is 31 and he is still a 4.5-star player. Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 15 games with a goal against the Canucks. Strong night for Doug Wilson with the Hawks. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals against the Rangers. And Randy Ladouceur is ready to return soon. Alright, we have a day off and then we're going to be back home for a couple games. Alright, Randy Ladouceur is back, so that's good. I'm sending Jeff Smith down, huh? He's the only one that I can send down without having to go through waivers, unless I want to maybe I want to try to pass Gordonine through waivers. He's not too good. Gordonine, yeah, he's like an 8 at best, so I'm gonna keep Jeff Smith. Because Jeff Smith is at least an 11 or a 12. Gordonine put on waivers. We have that. Alright, so we are home to play against the Flyers. Flyers are 38, 24, and 8. Right, 38, 24, and 8 for the Flyers. We are 2-0 against the Flyers this season. Right, let's see if we can win back home. Darren Pupa is going to be in net for the Flyers. Artis Airby is going to be in net for us. Go Kings! Ooh. We lost 6-0. Yikes. We outshot the Flyers 33-32. Darren Pupa, first star of the game, 33 saves, WSO, everything. Mark Howe was the second star with 2 goals and an assist, and Steve Duchesne, former King, who was just traded to Philadelphia, was the third star with 3 assists. Sellout crowd for this pitiful performance. Let's see here. So, of course, we didn't score. I'm looking for fights. In the second period, Randy Ladouceur fought Terry Cartner. And that's about it. Right, Ron Duguay is getting more comfortable at left wing. Alright, 2 days off, and then we're playing the Blackhawks. Joe Nieuwendyk extends his point streak to 12 games. He had 2 assists against the Jets. Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 16 games with a goal and an assist against the North Stars. Pierre Turgeon on a nice little streak there. Alright. Oh, Dave Andreychuk got suspended against, I don't know against whom, but that's for 7 games. And Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 17 games with 2 assists against the Jets. Right, and now we're about to host the Chicago Blackhawks. They are 39, 24, and 7. They have a pretty good record. We are 1-1 against them. Chicago is second in the conference because they are leading their division. Let's see if we can beat them. Come on, Kings. We ought to bounce back after that terrible 6-0 loss at home. Ed Belfour is going to be in net for the Blackhawks. Artus Irby is going to be in net for us. We lost 4-3 in overtime. Yikes. We were outshot 35-32 in that game. Dave Manson was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Alexander McGillney was the second star with a goal and an assist. And that's probably Troy Murray was the third star with an assist. Sellout crowd yet again. Randy Wood opened up the scoring in the first on the power play from Gary Galley and Alexander McGillney. Then the Hawks tied the game. It was 1-1 after 1. Randy Ladouceur fought Gary Nyland, and then Gerald Dedock fought Doug Evans. Then in the second period, nobody scored, but we had some fights. Gerald Dedock fought Dave Manson, and then Randy Ladouceur fought Jeremy Roenick. And in the third period, the Hawks took the lead, and then we tied the game. Mike Ridley from Gary Volk and Randy Wood. Then the Hawks scored again. It was 3-2, but Alexander McGillney tied the game yet again. From Scott Arneal and Dan Gratton, it was tied at 3 after 3. But then Steve Larmer played the hero in overtime, and the Hawks won this 4-3. We are on an official losing streak, and Mike Ridley is hurt. I don't know for how long. 2-3 weeks with a separated shoulder. Joe Nieuwendyk extends his point streak to 13 games with 2 assists against the Islanders. Torrey Robertson is suspended with the Raiders. He's going to miss 5 games. Dino Ciccarelli extends his goal streak to 5 games with 2 goals and an assist against the Blues. And for the second year in a row, there are rumors of Charlie Simmer retiring with the Nordics. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Mike Ridley on the injured list. Then let's see. I might get Robert Lang back up. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Hopefully Castles plays at center now. Right, Chris Felix in Philadelphia is on waivers. And Ron Wilson's suspension with the Jets is over. Back in the lineup over there. Alright. Well, it looks like the season ends on March 31st for us. So if I do any more than just March, that means I'm going to do the playoffs as well. So we'll see once we get there. We have 3 more games against the Flames. That could be very important because we're 4 points behind with the same amount of games played. So yeah, those 3 meetings against the Flames are going to be pretty important. Alright, so speaking of which, we are in Calgary to face them Flames. They are 49-20-3. They are at top of the conference like they have been all season. We are 2-3 against the Flames this season. We need a reverse of fortune here, despite the injury to Mike Ridley. Yeah, Castles is playing at center, but he's playing on the third line. They're putting Dan Gratton on the second line. I would put Castles on the second line. He's a 14, but I guess Robbie Ftorek is not too convinced with playing rookies in prominent roles. Artus Irby is going to be the goaltender of record for, well, I don't know if he's going to be the goaltender of record, but he's starting. And then Rick Wamsley is going to be in net for the Flames. Go Kings, we need that W, come on. Oh yes, a 8-3 win in Calgary. Very convincing win that we needed there. We outshot the Kings 40-30. Wayne Gretzky, finally a really good game from Wayne. First star, 4 goals and 3 assists. Mike Gartner was the second star with 3 goals and 2 assists, and Luc Robitaille was the third star with 3 assists. Wow, that means that Gartner and Gretzky scored 7 of our 8 goals. Wayne Gretzky opened up the scoring in the first. That was his 45th of the season from Alexei Gusarov and Gerald Deduck. Then the Flames tied the game, and then Mike Gardner scored from Luc Robitaille and Dan Gratton. 2-1 Kings after one. Then in the second period, Wayne Gretzky scored from Mike Gardner and Joe Rickey. Then Mike Gardner from Wayne Gretzky and Jeff Smith, 4-1. Then the Flames scored, made it 4-2. And then in the third period, Wayne Gretzky completed his hat trick. That was a short-handed goal from Mike Gardner and Gary Galley. It was 5-2. The Flames came back to within 2, but then we scored 3 unanswered goals. Mike Gardner scored his 45th from Wayne Gretzky and Luc Robitaille. Then Gretzky scored again from Gary Galley and Luc Robitaille. And then finally Gary Galley scored on the power play from Wayne Gretzky and Ray Shepherd. 8-3 the final score. What a game. Alright, Mike Gardner has a good game. As we saw, he had 3 goals and 2 assists. A strong night for Wayne Gretzky as well. 4 goals and 3 assists, as we all saw that. Joe Nieuwendyk extended his point streak to 14 in that game. He did notch an assist. Steve Yzerman is day-to-day in Detroit. Suffered a bruised heel against Boston. Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 18 games. He had an assist against Montreal. Good game for Dino Ciccarelli. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals against the Leafs. And Dino Ciccarelli with that extended his goal streak to 6 games. That was a hat-trick, 3 goals. Alright, we are now in Vancouver to play against the Canucks for the last time of the season. Canucks are 25, 45, and 5. They are 8 in the conference. We are 5-2 against the Canucks this season. Oh, now, there you go. Now they're putting Andrew Castles on the second line with Randy Wood and Mike Gardner. Oh, they're putting Mike Gardner on the second line and they're putting Ray Shepherd on the first. That's all very interesting to me. Alright, Glenn Healy is going to be in net for us in that game. Frank Pietrangelo is going to be in net for Vancouver. Go Kings! We need another win. And we won 5-3. Alright, we outshot Vancouver 35-28. Andrew Castles was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 3 assists. Barry Peterson was the second star with 2 goals. And Mike Gardner was the third star with 3 assists. Right, so the Canucks scored twice in the first period. They were up 2-0. Then Alexander McGillney scored from Andrew Castles and Sylvain Couturier. 2-1 Canucks after 1. There was a fight between Mike Hartman and Gerald Deduck. Then in the second period, Randy Wood scored his 15th from Mike Gardner and Andrew Castles. Then Randy Wood again from Mike Gardner and Andrew Castles. 3-2 Kings after 2. And in the third period, the Canucks tied the game, but then Andrew Castle scored from Mike Gardner, and then finally Randy Ladouceur scored shorthanded from Gary Valk and Ron Duguay. It was a 5-3 victory for the Kings. We had a fight between Stan Schmiel and Randy Ladouceur as well. Pretty neat. Oh, no. Alexei Gusarov is hurt. We don't need that. How long is he hurt for? Ooh, 1 to 2 months. Yikes. We already don't have a great D. Right before the playoffs, too. Alright, so... a strain ACL. Pierre Turgeon extended his point streak to 19 games. He had a goal and an assist against the Whalers. And John LeBlanc has a good game for the North Stars. He had a hat-trick against the Leafs. Now we have to take care of Gusarov. I'm gonna recall Adam Burt. I'm not recalling Gordonine. Gordonine is not as good. So Adam Burt or Wayne McBean. I think I'm gonna go with Adam Burt because he's part of my future a little bit more than McBean. Alright, hopefully losing Gusarov won't kill us. It's pretty sad when you consider the loss of Alexei Gusarov to be major. I have something in my eye, I'm sorry. Oh, I had a couple of days off and then we're going to be hosting the Leafs. Right, Dale Howard-Chuck has a great game for the Jets. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Flames. Johnny Wendyke extends his point streak to 15 games. He had 2 assists in that same game. Good game for Larry Murphy with the Washington Capitals. He had 4 assists against St. Louis. Great night for Scott Stevens in that same game. He had 4 assists as well. Alright, we are hosting the Leafs. They are 20-47-7. That's good for dead last in the conference. We are 1-1 against Toronto this season. Come on, we need to beat them. I understand we have some injuries, but we have to beat them. Right, they're going to play Adam Burt as a crease-clearing defenseman. Alright, Troy Gamble is going to be in net for Toronto. We're going to go with Arthurs Irbe. Come on, let's go Kings. 6-4 win. Alright, so despite the injuries, we're still getting W's. We outshot Toronto 43-33. Ray Shepherd was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Todd Gill was the second star with a goal. And Rick Green was the third star with an assist. Full out crowd yet again in Inglewood. So Toronto scored first. Then Sylvain Couturier tied the game from Scott Arniel and Alexander Mogilny. Then Randy Wood gave us the lead from Dan Gratton and Ray Shepherd. Then Toronto tied the game, and then we took the lead again. Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Mike Gartner and Gary Galley. It was 3-2 Kings after 1. Then in the second period, the Leafs tied the game yet again, and then Gerald Deduck scored his 5th from Alexander Mogilny and Jeff Smith, and then Luc Robitaille scored on the power play unassisted. It was 5-3 Kings after 2. Then in the third period, the Leafs scored. It was 5-4. And then finally, Wayne Gretzky scored his 50th in an empty net from Ray Shepherd and Rick Green. 6-4 the final score. There was also a fight between Gerald Deduck and Todd Gill. Pierre Turgeon extends his point streak to 20 games with a goal against the Habs. And Johnny Wendyke extends his point streak to 16 games with an assist against the Canucks. Right, couple of days off, and then we're hosting the Flames again. Oh, we have overtaken the Flames now. We are atop of the conference. Look at us. Important game yet again. Right, another day off. Oh, Scott Stevens is hurt in Washington. Hurt for 5 weeks with a 3rd degree MCL sprain. Alright. Should hurt the Caps a little. Alright, so Calgary in town. They are 49-23 and 3. They are now 3rd in the conference. Of course, if they beat us, they can leapfrog us back again. Season series is tied at 3. Come on, let's go Kings. Vernon in net for the Flames. Irby in net for us. Come on, Kings. 3-2 win. Oh, nail biter there. at home against the Flames. Flames outshot us 40-32 in that one as well. Alexander McGillney was the first star of the game. He had a goal. Joe Nieuwendyk was the second star with an assist, and Artus Irbe was the third star with 38 saves and W. Very important W. Sellout crowd yet again in Inglewood. Flames scored first in the first period. It was 1-0 Flames after one. Then in the second period, Randy Wood scored from Gerald Deduck and Ray Shepherd. Then Alexander McGillney scored his 35th unassisted. 2-1 Kings after two. Then in the third period, the Flames tied the game. And then Andrew Castle scored his 5th unassisted. 3-2 Kings, the final score. Junior Wendyke extends his point streak to 17 games at that game against us. He had an assist. Christian Rutu with the Sabres is suspended. He's going to miss one game. Pierre Turgeon's point streak ended at 20 games. He was held scoreless against the Bruins. Memorable game for Brett Hull with the Blues. He had 3 goals and 3 assists against the Islanders. Pretty good game indeed. Steve Duchesne has a good game. He had 4 assists against the Rangers. And Mike Ridley is resuming skating. So we should see him in a couple weeks. Back sometime during the playoffs. It's going to be a little bit more nebulous for Alexei Gusarov. Alright, we are in Edmonton to play against the Oilers. Now, Oilers are, it's a home and home against them. Oilers are 31, 37, and 7. That's good for 6th in the conference. We are 5-0 and 1 against Edmonton this season. Wow, nice way of Robbie Ftorek to thank Andrew Castles for his game-winning goal against the Flames in a very important game. He's benching him the very next game. Great piece of coaching right there, coach. Alright, Glenn Healy is going to be in net for us. Bill Ranford in net for the Oilers. Come on, Kings, let's go. 5-2 victory. Alright, we outshot the Oilers 46-27. Wayne Gretzky was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Mike Gartner was the second star with 2 assists. And Gerald Deduck was the third star with 2 goals. Gary Galley opened up the scoring in the first from Mike Gartner and Wayne Gretzky. It was 1-0 Kings after one. Then in the second, the Oilers tied the game. Then Wayne Gretzky scored from Adam Burt and Randy Ladouceur. It's Adam Burt's first point with the Kings. Then the Oilers tied the game again. It was tied at 2. Year after 2, there was a fight between Esa Tikkanen and Gerald Deduck. Then in the third period, Gerald Deduck scored from Wayne Gretzky and Mike Gartner, and then Gerald Deduck again from Randy Wood and Ray Shepherd. Then finally, Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Ray Shepherd and Luc Robitaille. That was a 5-2 victory. Right, Brian Propp has racked up 400 goals in his career with a goal and 2 assists against the Buffalo Sabres. Christian Rutu is back from suspension. Cam Neely is suspended with the Bruins. He's going to miss 1 game. And Larry Murphy extends his point streak to 12 games with a goal and an assist in that same game against the Bruins. All right, we have 3 games left, including one against Calgary. That's probably going to be pretty important. Ron Francis extends his point streak to 12 games with a goal and 2 assists against the Montreal Canadiens. And Torrey Robertson is back from suspension in Hartford. Alright, now Edmonton is in town. That's the second game of the home and home against them. They are now 31, 38, and 7. They are still 6th in the conference. We are now 6-0 and 1 against the Oilers. Alright, Hopefully at home, we're going to get to win this. Bill Ranford is going to be in net for the Oilers again. We're going to have Arthur Searby this time. Go Kings! And that's a 7-1 victory for the Kings. Very decisive game here. We were outshot 35-27 in that one. Jeff Smith was the first star of the game. He had 5 assists. Arthur Searby was the second star with 34 saves and the W. That's a pretty good game. Gerald Deduck was the third star with a goal and an assist. Another set-out crowd. Mike Gartner opened up the scoring in the first from Jeff Smith and Alexander Mogilny. Then Mike Gartner again from Gerald Deduck and Jeff Smith. 2-0 Kings at that point. Then the Oilers scored their lone goal. It was 2-1 Kings after one. We added 3 goals in the second period. Gerald Deduck scored from Wayne Gretzky and Jeff Smith. Then Andrew Castles from Gary Valk and Ron Duguay. Then Alexander Mogilny from Jeff Smith. It was 5-1 Kings after 2. There was a fight between Joe Rickey and Dave McElwain as well. Then in the third period, Alexander Mogilny scored from Andrew Castles and Joe Rickey. Then Sylvain Couturier from Ron Duguay and Jeff Smith. 7-1. The final score for the Kings. Don McSween has been put on waivers by the Sabres. Memorable night for Jeff Smith. He had 5 assists, as we saw. Pretty good game. Johnny Wendyke extends his point streak to 18 games with a goal against the Vancouver Canucks. Pele Eklund extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and an assist against Pittsburgh. Cam Neely is back from suspension in Boston. Craig Patrick might get fired. So Craig Patrick, the coach of the Leafs. Leafs are 21-50-7. That's really not cutting it in Toronto. Ross Courtnall extends his point streak to 12 games with a goal against the Hawks. And Larry Murphy's point streak ended at 12 games. He was held scoreless against the Buffalo Sabres. Alright, we have one more day off, and then we're going to be playing against Minnesota. Ron Francis point streak ended at 12 games. Didn't get a point against the Devils. Alright, so we are hosting the Minnesota North Stars. North Stars are 41-28-8. They are 4th in the conference. And yeah, if we get let's see, if we get at least 1 point, if we get a tie or a win against Minnesota, we are clinching the conference for sure, regardless of what happens in that last game against the Flames. We are 2-0 against Minnesota this season. Alright, Pete Peters is going to be in net for Minnesota. We're going to go with Arthur Searby. Come on, Arthur, give us the W so that we can clinch the conference. That's a 7-3 win, and that solidifies the fact that we are first in the conference in this season. A nice 7-3 victory. Oh yeah, we outshot Minnesota 56-27. Gerald Deduck was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Randy Wood was the second star with 2 goals and 2 assists as well. And Mike Gartner was the third star with 2 assists. Set out crowd yet again in Inglewood. Gerald Deduck opened up the scoring in the first from Randy Wood and Andrew Castles. Then Gerald Deduck scored again. That was his 10th of the season from Scott Arniel and Mike Gartner. Ray Shepard from Randy Wood and Gary Galley. 3-0 Kings here after 1. Then in the second period, Minnesota scored. It was 3-1. Then Randy Wood scored from Andrew Castles and Adam Burt. And then Wayne Gretzky from Mike Gartner and Gerald Deduck. 5-1 Kings. At that point, and then Minnesota scored. It was 5-2 after 2. Then in the third, Minnesota scored. They came to within 2, but then Randy Wood scored his 20th from Jeff Smith and Ray Shepard, and Luc Robitaille from Jeff Smith and Gerald Deduck. 7-3, the final score for the Kings. Awesome. So I guess that means that we are going to be facing the Jets. Oh, maybe not. Maybe the Oilers in the first round. We'll see. Suspension over for Dave Andreychuk with Buffalo. Back in the lineup, Johnny Van Dyke extends his point streak to 19 games with a goal against the Oilers. Ross Courtnall's point streak ended at 12 games. He was held scoreless against Chicago. Steve Thomas lights the lamp in that same game. He had a hat trick. Petty Eklund extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal against Washington. And Brett Hull also had a good game. He had a hat trick against the Islanders. Alright, we have a couple of days off, and then we're going to play our final game of the regular season in Calgary against the Flames. The Flames cannot reach us. They only have 2 games left to play, and they are 6 points behind. Johnny Van Dyke extended his point streak to 20 games. He had a goal and 2 assists against the Oilers. Dave Andreychuk scored 300 goals in his career. He had a goal against Hartford. 27-year-old Dave Andreychuk is a 4-star player. Dave Taylor, former King, achieved 400 goals in his career. He had a goal against the Hartford Whalers in that same game. Dave Taylor is 35 and a 3-star player. Rick Tocchet extends his assist streak to 8 games. He had an assist against Pittsburgh. Alright, and I don't really care about the scouting. Alright, last game of the regular season in Calgary. Calgary is still very good, even though we took first in the conference at the last second against them. Those 2 wins back-to-back against them really helped achieving that. They are 52-24-3. They are 3rd in the conference. Still a really good season for them. We are 4-3 against the Flames this season. Artus Airbay is going to be in net for the Kings. Mike Vernon is going to be in net for the Flames. Go Kings! Let's end with a W. And we did a 4-1 road victory to end the season. Pretty good. We outshot Calgary 31-30. Alexander Mogilny was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Sylvain Couturier was the second star with 2 assists. And Gary Galley was the 3rd star with 2 assists as well. Wayne Gretzky opened up the scoring in the first. It was a power play goal from Gary Galley and Mike Gartner. Then Gretzky again. That was his 55th on the power play again from Gary Galley and Luc Robitaille. And then Alexander Mogilny scored from Luc Robitaille and Sylvain Couturier. 3-0 Kings after 1. Then in the second period, the Flames scored, made it 3-1. Then a bunch of penalties. Gary Roberts fought Joe Rickey, Joel Otto fought Joe Rickey, Rob Ramage fought Randy Ladouceur. Yeah, 3 fights. Then in the third period, Alexander Mogilny scored from Scott Arniel and Sylvain Couturier. It was 4-1, and that was our final score today. So 4-1 victory here to end the season. Johnny Van Dyke extends his point streak to 21 games with an assist against us. Injury to sideline Devils Pat Verbeek right before the play. Oh, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs though. Torn plantar fascia tendon out for 3 months. Ooh, no, that's gonna hurt the Pittsburgh Penguins. Troy Loney is hurt for 7 months with a torn ACL. Brian Benning extends his assist streak to 8 games. He had a goal and an assist against Minnesota. Our top-selling jerseys for the month were Gretzky, Gartner, Robitaille, Ely, and Galley. Glenn Ely, who barely played this season, sold a lot of jerseys apparently. And the most jerseys sold for the month of March goes to Peter Sidarkowitz. Oh yeah, I know all about Peter Sidarkowitz as a Ottawa Senators fan. Not sure that he would sell the most jerseys in the NHL in any given month, but hey, you know. Right, and the monthly honors in the month of March go to Wayne Gretzky and Ed Belfour. So Wayne Gretzky, our own, gets top billings there. All right, so yeah, looks like it's Edmonton that we're gonna face in the first round. Now Edmonton is a little bit of our nemesis. The first season they eliminated us, when I thought that I was going to go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. So we'll see what happens this time. Let's look at stats. I'm not really going to look at the standings from that perspective. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sim until the start of the playoffs, and we're going to get the playoff 3 instead, which I prefer to look at that way. All right, so as far as our stats go, our best player was, of course, Wayne Gretzky. 129 points in 80 games, then Gartner 104, Robitaille 75 in 69, McGillney rookie season 74 points in 80 games. He could also win the Calder, I suppose. Ray Shepherd 65 in 80. Gary Galley was our best defenseman, 65 points in 78 games, and then it goes down from there. Now in the entire league, let's see, the best goal scorer was Brett Hull with 65 goals. Best passer was Adam Oates with 78 assists, and the most points was Wayne Gretzky. So he was not first for most of the season, and then he kind of snuck in to first place, 129 points. First place, Jeremy Roenick was second with 126. Dale Howard-Chuck 121, LaFontaine 114, Nieuwendyk 114, Adam Oates 111, and it goes down from there. Now, goalie leaders, Arthur Searby 46 wins on the season. That's really good. That's also 9 more than second place Don Beaupre. Save percentage, Arthur Searby tied for first at .913 with Reese in Hartford and Pete Peters. Shutouts, Irby was tied for second with Ed Belfour. And the goal save above average is Arthur Searby's first with almost 10 more than second place Tom Barrasso. So yeah, we were well represented. Bruce McNall is satisfied. He's only satisfied. We finished first, and Bruce is satisfied. Yeah, okay, that's fine, I guess. Alright, so the nominees for the different trophies for the art, we have Yari Curry, Jeremy Roenick, and Wayne Gretzky. For the Vizina, we have Artus Irby, Jeff Rees, and Tom Barrasso. For the Norris, Al McInnes, Brian Leach, and Paul Coffey. The Calder is going to be between Alexander McGillney, Artus Irby, and Jaromir Jagr. Yeah, I think it's going to be between McGillney and Artus Irby, to be honest. GM of the Year is going to be between Bobby Clark, Cliff Fletcher, and Jack Ferreira. The Selkie is going to go between Yari Curry, Mike Hudson, and Troy Loney. Lady Bing between Bruce Driver, Pele Eklund, and Pierre Turgeon. Mark Messier Leadership Award is going to go between Dale Hunter, Ron Francis, and Scott Stevens. Ted Lindsay is going to be Yari Curry, Pat LaFontaine, or Wayne Gretzky. And then the Jack Adams is going to be Paul Holmgren, Robbie Ftorek, or Ted Sater. Sorry, I was looking at something, so sorry if I've been silent. I was still here, I promise. Alright, so the playoff 3 should be available now. So as I stated, we're going to be facing the Oilers in the first round. Let's take a look at playoff 3. Alright, so in the Wales Conference, Montreal is going to be facing Buffalo in round number 1, and then Boston is going to be facing Hartford. Washington is going to face the Flyers, and then Pittsburgh against the Rangers. And on our side of things, St. Louis is going to be playing Chicago, Detroit is going to be playing Minnesota, Edmonton's playing us, and the Jets are playing the Calgary Flames. Welcome aboard the Max King 1. Okay, that's pretty good. Got yourself William Karlsson with the Blues. That's good. Should be a good acquisition. All right. Take a look at the Oilers. So I was not able to go and get Yves Racine from them, even though I really wanted to. Oh god, the Oilers have a lot of injuries. A lot of long injuries too, wow. So Craig McTavish is out, Steve Smith is out, Chris Joseph is out, Jeff Sharples is out, he's the closest one to coming back, and Kevin Lowe is out. So 3 of their starting defensemen are injured and not going to be able to play at all during those playoffs. So yeah, their D is struggling a little bit. They have a lot of like half-star defensemen. Some of them is because they are not fully developed. So, like Yushkevich should become pretty decent. McGillis, maybe. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the playoffs today. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and get that taken care of. Hopefully we can win the cup and then we're done if we do, because the challenge is going to be beaten, but we'll see. All right, so we are hosting the Oilers. I just looked at all their injuries and everything. Hopefully we can capitalize on the fact that they are a wounded animal. Edmonton finished the season 42 and 7. They finished 7th in the conference. That's the beauty of hockey in the 90s. With a record like that, you're still in the playoffs. We finished the season 7-0-1 against the Oilers. Go Kings! Bill Ranford is going to be a net for the Oilers. Artus Irbe is going to be a net for us. Go Kings! Won the first game in overtime, 4-3. Alright, so a little bit of a nail biter there, but that's a W. Shots were tied, 38 apiece. Randy Wood was the first star of the game, he had 3 assists. Craig Muni was the second star with an assist, and Adam Burt was the third star with an assist as well. Set out crowd, of course, for playoff game number 1 in Inglewood. Ray Shepard opened up the scoring in the first from Randy Wood and Jeff Smith. Then the Oilers tied the game. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then the Oilers took a 3-1 lead after 2. That looked kind of scary. Luke Robitaille scored in the third period from Alexander McGillney and Gary Galley. Then Mike Gartner from Randy Wood and Adam Burt. That was the tying goal, and then Wayne Gretzky, who else played the hero in overtime, scored from Randy Wood and Gerald Deduck, 4-3 victory. Awesome. Garth Butcher is suspended in Buffalo. He's gonna miss 1 game. Miroslav Freiser is hurt. He's gonna miss 9 months. Wow. He had a concussion. Open ice leads to a productive night for Dino Ciccarelli. He had 4 assists against the Red Wings. And Randy Ladouceur got hurt. He's gonna miss, ouch, 5 weeks. That's not good. We already have Alexei Gusarov that's out. Alright, we're gonna need to recall probably, oh god. Yeah, I guess we're recalling Gordonine. I guess that's where we're at. I guess we're struggling. Alright, so another regular defenseman out. We're gonna need to live with that. Mike Ridley, on the good side of news, is feeling better. Should be back soon. Alright, game 2. Oh, I forgot to look at the other scores. Whenever I get an injury and stuff, I always forget to look at that. Oh well, it's gonna be a surprise. Alright, game 2. We are hosting the Oilers yet again, of course, back at home. Alright, Bill Ranford is going to be in net for the Oilers for that one. Artus Irby in net for us. Go Kings! Make it 2-0 in the series. Oh yeah, 6-1 victory. We outshot Edmonton 29-25. Wayne Gretzky was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Mike Gartner was the second star with a goal and 2 assists as well. And Luc Robitaille was the third star with a goal and an assist. Sellout crowd, of course. Wayne Gretzky opened up the scoring in the first from Mike Gartner and Luc Robitaille, then Sylvain Couturier from Alexander McGillney and Scott Arniel, and then Luc Robitaille from Mike Gartner and Wayne Gretzky. 3-0 Kings after 1. And in the second period, we scored 3 more goals. Mike Gartner from Wayne Gretzky and Gary Galley, then Alexander McGillney from Scott Arniel and Rick Green, and then finally Randy Wood scored unassisted, made it 6-0 Kings after 2. There was a fight between Luc Robitaille, of all people, and Reed Larson. And the Oilers scored 1 goal in the third period. It was way too little and way too late. 6-1 King victory. We are also up 2-0 in our series. Garth Butcher is back from suspension in Buffalo. Now, let's take a look at those other scores. Detroit beat Minnesota 3-2. Winnipeg beat Calgary 4-2. Chicago beat St. Louis 5-4. Pittsburgh beat New York 2-1. Wow, a lot of 1-goal games in the other games. Montreal beat Buffalo 3-2. Philadelphia beat Washington 4-2. And Boston beat the Whalers 5-4. Alright, we have a day off, and then the series moves to Edmonton for 2 games. Ridley feeling better and better and better. I need my second center back, even if we're winning. Alright, series shifts in Edmonton. Artus Irby still in net for us. Bill Ranford still in net for the Oilers. Go Kings! Oh, 5-2 loss this time. We outshot the Oilers 31-25. Gord Murphy was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Yari Curry was the second star with 2 goals. And Mark Messier was the third star with 2 assists. We open up the scoring. Luc Robitaille scored the first goal of the game from Mike Gartner and Wayne Gretzky. But then the Oilers scored 4 unanswered goals after that. It was 4-1 Edmonton after 1. Then in the second period, Andrew Castle scored from Scott Arniel and Mike Gartner. It was 4-2 Edmonton. We had a fight between Basil McRae and Gerald Deduck. Then in the third period, the Oilers scored. Made it 5-2. We had another fight between Esa Tikkanen and Joe Rickey, but that was not a good game. 5-2 loss. Jody Hall keeps fans on their feet all night in Philadelphia. He had a hat-trick against the Capitals. Dan Quinn is hurt in Pittsburgh. He's going to miss 2 weeks with a strained pectoral muscle. Brian Leach will also miss 2 weeks for the Rangers. He has a strained quad. And Mark Rickey has a great game. He had 3 goals and 2 assists against the Rangers. Alright, other scores. Minnesota beat Detroit 5-2. Calgary beat Winnipeg 5-3. Chicago beat St. Louis. Pittsburgh trounced the Rangers 8-2. Montreal beat Buffalo. Philadelphia trounced Washington 8-1. And Boston beat Hartford 4-3. Alright. Ridley almost there. That'd be great when he comes back. Alright, so game 4 of the series. We're still up 2-1 in that series, facing the Oilers again in Edmonton. Arthur Searby in net, Bill Ranford in net. Come on, Kings. Get me a 3-1 lead in that series. Yes, a 6-3 victory. We outshot Edmonton 45-32. Randy Wood was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Andrew Castles was the second star with 2 goals and an assist. And Mike Gartner was the third star, 2 goals and 1 assist as well. Edmonton scored first in the first period. Then Mike Gartner tied the game from Wayne Gretzky and Luc Robitaille. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then the Oilers scored, made it 2-1, and then we scored twice. Mike Gartner from Rick Green and Luc Robitaille, and then Sylvain Couturier from Scott Arniel and Alexander McGillney. 3-2 Kings after 2. In the third period, Randy Wood scored from Gary Valk and Andrew Castles, and Andrew Castles from Randy Wood and Mike Gartner made it 5-2. The Oilers came to within 2 with 2 minutes and 42 left to go in the third period, but Andrew Castles sealed the deal in an empty net from Randy Wood and Gary Galley. That was 6-3. That was the final score, with the Kings up 3-1, but we lost another defenseman. Gerald Deddock is hurt now for 7 weeks. Oh, that's gonna hurt. D is already my weakest position. Alright, so 7 weeks with a lacerated spleen. There was no stopping Bob Airy in Pittsburgh. He had a hat-trick against the Rangers. And Mike Ridley is back. Alright, so Gerald Deddock goes on the injured reserve. We're gonna get Mike Ridley back. We're gonna send Robert Lang back down. And I think we're at the point where we're getting Wayne McBean recalled. Okay, alright. Well, our D is starting to limp. That's not good. In other scores, Detroit beat Minnesota. Calgary had a decisive win over Winnipeg. Chicago beat St. Louis 5-0. Pittsburgh destroyed the Rangers 7-2. Buffalo won against Montreal. Philadelphia beat Washington. And Boston beat Hartford. Alright. Okay, Gusarov is resuming skating, so might be coming back within a couple weeks. That'd be great. Alright. So we are playing back at home. We have a 3-1 lead in that series, so if we win this game, we are advancing to the next round. Yeah. At least we got Mike Ridley back. Bill Ranford is going to be in net for Edmonton. Arthur Searby in net for us. He's going to need to play on his head behind that weakened D that we have. And he did. We won 4-2. Alright, we are advancing to the next round. We outshot the Oilers 41-20 in that one. Wayne Gretzky was the first star. He had 2 goals. Esa Tikkanen was the second star with 2 assists, and Luc Robitaille was the third star with 2 assists as well. Another sellout crowd in LA for this game. Wayne Gretzky scored shorthanded to open up the scoring from Joe Rickey and Gary Volk. Then the Oilers tied the game, and then Gretzky scored again from Mike Gartner and Luc Robitaille. 2-1 Kings after one. Joe Rickey and Basil McRae got into a fight in the first period as well. Then in the second, Alexander McGillney scored from Dan Grattan and Scott Arniel. 3-1 Kings after two. Then the Oilers came to within one pretty early in the period. It was 3-2 for a long time, and then Mike Ridley, who just came back from injury with 30 seconds left to go in the third period, scored in an empty net from Luc Robitaille. 4-2 Kings. There was also a fight between Joe Rickey and Kevin McClellan. Alright, and we move on to the second round, where we're going to face the winner between the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames. Night to remember for Pierre Turgeon. He had 4 assists against Montreal. Alright, so Winnipeg beat Calgary. Wow, there were a lot of 4 of the 8 series ended in 4 games. That's crazy. Alright, Buffalo won, Detroit won against Minnesota. Okay. Oh, the Jets eliminated the Flames in an upset win. And I like my chances against the Jets. That's pretty good. So Montreal eliminated Buffalo, Detroit eliminated Minnesota, and the Jets eliminated the Flames. Alright, we'll play this. Let's take a look at the Jets before we face them. Let's see if they have some injuries. Oh no, they are healthy. That could be why they won. I mean, they don't have a terrible team, especially if they're healthy. Alright, so Bob Essensa and Steve Weeks, and that could be their biggest weakness, is they don't have great goaltending. Then Randy Carlyle, Dave Ellett, Nordmark, Mark, Numinen, Olason, Marois on D. I wouldn't mind having one of those two on my team. Larry Boschman, Ian Duncan, Inashak, Brickley, Schmale, Auerchuk, Pivanka, Steen, Wilson, Elenak, Yarvenpa, Kumpel, McBain, and Boyer up front. Yeah, there's definitely some talent there. Not to take lightly, especially they're healthy, and I have 3 injured defensemen, so that could, tip the series one way or another. I'm hoping to see Gusarov come back soon. Alright, so Winnipeg in town for round number 2. Alright, they're going to go with Bob Essensa in net. We are, of course, going with Arthur Serbe. And, of course, go Kings! Come on. We lost the first game in overtime, 5-4. Oh, our tired D was probably the culprit there. We were outshot 43-34. Kumpel was the first star of the game. He had a hat trick, 3 goals. Second star was Gord Deneen with a goal, and Dave Ellett was a third star with 3 assists. Sellout crowd for this heartbreaking loss in overtime. Gord Deneen opened up the scoring for us from Wayne McBain and Ken Baumgartner. It was 1-0 Kings after 1. There was a fight between Gord Deneen and Laurie Boschman. And in the second period, Wayne Gretzky scored his 5th of the playoffs from Mike Gartner and Luc Robitaille. It was 2-0 Kings, and then the Jets scored 4 unanswered before the end of the second. It was 4-2 Winnipeg after 2. There was a fight between Joe Rickey and Laurie Boschman as well. Then in the third period, Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Gary Galley and Luc Robitaille, and then Alexander McGillney tied the game from Scott Arniel and Jeff Smith, made everybody at the arena happy. It was tied at 4. We went to overtime, but 2 minutes into the first period of overtime, Mark Kumpel completed his hat trick and sent us home with a 0-1 deficit. And oh crap, I have another defenseman that's hurt. Rick Green is hurt now that's not good at all. Every year in the playoffs something happens. Oh, he's only day to day. First year they took down my starting goaltender. I was doing really good. starting goaltender fell, and then I lost in the second round in 7 games. Then in the second year, they decided to take Wayne Gretzky out for the playoffs. Now they are gunning for all of my defensemen. Alright, so Rick Green is day-to-day. Should be able to play soon, I would think. I'm not recalling anybody for that. Alright, in the other scores, Chicago beat Detroit 3-1, Boston beat Montreal 3-0, and the Flyers beat Pittsburgh 6-5. Wow, 2 pretty big rivalries there. Montreal, Boston, and Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Alright, game 2 of the series. We are going to be hosting the Jets again. So we're down 0-1 in our series. We have a lot of injured defensemen. Gusarov and Green might be back soon, too. So at least there's light at the end of the tunnel. Alright, let's go Kings. Come on. Bobby Sensei in net for the Kings. Arthur Serbe in net for us. Go Kings, go. Woo! 7-4 win. Oh yeah, tied series. 7-4 victory. Tied series at 1. We were outshot in that one 44-27. Wayne Gretzky was the first star. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Luc Robitaille was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Mike Gartner was the third star with 2 goals and an assist. Another sellout crowd. Winnipeg opened up the scoring in the first, then Mike Gartner scored his 5th of the series from Wayne Gretzky and Gary Galley, then Ray Shepherd from Wayne McBean and Mike Ridley, 2-1 Kings after 1. Then in the second period, Luc Robitaille scored from Gordon and Wayne Gretzky. It was 3-1, then the Jets tied the game, and it was tied at 3 after 2. We also had a fight between Joe Rickey and Randy Carlisle. And we went into the third period. Wayne Gretzky scored from Luc Robitaille and Mike Gartner. Then the Jets tied the game again. It was tied at 4, but then Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Gary Galley. Mike Gartner scored from Joe Rickey, and then in an empty net, Gary Volk scored from Luc Robitaille and Joe Rickey. It was a 7-4 victory. Tied series at 1 game apiece. Mark Rickey had a great game for Pittsburgh. He had 4 assists against the Flyers. Right, so we won. Chicago beat Detroit 3-0. Montreal came back in their series with a 3-2 win. Pittsburgh 6-2 victory over the Flyers. Alright, the series shifts in Winnipeg to play against the Jets. So, tied series at 1 game apiece. I would love to take a 2-1 lead in that series here. Arthur's Irbe in net for us. Bob Essensa in net for the Jets. Come on, Kings. Give me a nice road win here. We lost in overtime again. 4-3. Wow. The Jets are clutch. They outshot us again, 34-31. Ian Duncan was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Gary Volk was the second star with a goal, and Frederick Lawson was the third star with a goal and an assist. So Jets scored first in the first period, then Gary Galley scored on the power play from Mike Gartner and Ray Shepherd. Then we took the lead. Gary Volk with a short-handed goal from Wayne Gretzky and Wayne McBean. But then the Jets scored twice. It was 3-2 Jets after 1. Then nobody scored in the second period. And then in the third, Mike Gartner scored unassisted. It was tied at 3, and then 3:16 into overtime. Andy Brickley played the hero, and now the Jets are up 2-1 in that series against us. That's not good. Okay, Rick Green is feeling better. And Brian Propp had an amazing off-season regimen with the Flyers. So he might get better. Okay, Detroit beat Chicago 4-0. Montreal beat Boston 7-2, and Philadelphia beat Pittsburgh 2-1. All right, Rick Green feeling better and better. That's good. I want to see the same for Alexei Gusarov. I'd like Gusarov back instead of Rick Green, but you know, It is what it is. All right, very important game here. We need to tie the series at 2. We cannot go back home down 3-1 in this series. It's going to be really hard to come back from that. So Arthur Searby in net for us. Bobby Sensei in net for the Jets. I need a big game from the Kings here. Go Kings, come on. Yes, 4-0 win. Arthur Searby with the shutout here. We show some character. Now we're back in that series. It's tied at 2 and we have home ice advantage too. Right, the Kings outshot the Jets 37-25. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the first time we have outshot the Jets in that series. Joe Rickey was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Mike Ridley was the second star with an assist, and Jeff Smith was the third star with an assist as well. Alright, Randy Wood opened up the scoring in the first from Jeff Smith and Mike Ridley. It was 1-0 Kings at that point, and then Andrew McBain and Adam Burt got into a fight. Then we went to the second period up 1-0. We scored 3 goals. Luc Robitaille scored his 5th of the playoffs from Mike Gartner. Then Wayne Gretzky scored shorthanded from Gary Volk and Wayne McBain. And then Scott Arneal from Alexander McGillney and Joe Rickey. 4-0 Kings after 2. And that was it. We won this game 4-0. Maybe more importantly is that the series is tied at 2. There was no stopping Shane Corson for the Habs. He had a hat-trick against the Bruins. Alright, so Chicago beat Detroit 5-2. Boston beat Montreal 4-3 despite Corson's hat-trick. Pittsburgh beat Philadelphia 1-0. Alright, Rick Green, better. Alright, Winnipeg is back in town. Series tied at 2 apiece. Whoever wins this game is going to have a serious option on this series. Hopefully that's us. Bobby Sensa is going to be in net for the Jets. Artis Earbay is going to be in net for us. Come on. Go Kings! We lost 5-4. Yikes. Alright, so we were outshot 40-28. Dave Alwarchuk was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Scott Arneal was the second star with 2 assists. And Thomas Steen was the third star with a goal and an assist. Set-out crowd in LA. Wayne Gretzky opened up the scoring in the first. That was his 10th of the playoffs from Luc Robitaille and Mike Gartner. Then the Jets scored to tie the game. Then Alexander McGillney scored from Scott Arneal and Dan Gratton. It was 2-1 Kings at that point. And then the Jets tied the game again, tied at 2 after 1. Then in the second period, the Jets scored twice. It was 4-2 Jets after 2. Then in the third, the Jets made it 5-2. Then Wayne Gretzky scored from Jeff Smith and Mike Gartner. Alexander McGillney scored a minute and 28 seconds later. That was his 5th of the playoffs from Scott Arneal and Sylvain Couturier. It was 5-4. There was all that time left. We just couldn't tie the game. Adam Burt got into a fight with Mark Kumpel, and then Joe Rickey with Randy Carlisle. We are down 3-2 in our series. And of course, we got an injury. Dan Gratton was hurt. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. Rick Green is completely recovered, so Gratton out with a strained pectoral muscle. Rick Green is back. Alright, so Gratton goes on the injured reserve, and I guess we're getting Robert Lang back, huh? Alright. So we need to win the next 2 games, or it's game over for us again this year. Alexei Gusarov close to returning, but not quite. Randy Ladouceur close to returning, but not quite as well. Alright, that's it, folks. The season hangs in the balance right here. We're gonna go in Winnipeg down 3-2 in our series against them. Artus Irbe in net for us. Bob Essensa in net for the Jets. Go Kings! Come on! We lost 2-1 in overtime. So 3 of the 4 losses were in overtime. And yet again, I got screwed over by injuries in the playoffs. Alright, so we outshot Winnipeg 39-38. Frederick Lawson was the first star of the game. He had a goal. Artus Irbe was the second star of the game despite the loss. He made 36 saves. And Ray Shepard was the third star with an assist. Laurie Boschman fought Ken Baumgartner in the first. Then nobody scored in the first or the second. Then in the third period, Randy Wood scored from Mike Ridley and Ray Shepard. Then the Jets tied the game. And then in overtime, Frederick Lawson, 56 seconds into overtime, played the hero and sent us packing. Alright, well, it's no time for you to come back. Gusarov, we are eliminated. I believe that the Montreal Canadiens are making it to the conference finals. Alright, well, Gusarov is ready, but I have no games to play for you, buddy. Alright. Top-selling jerseys for the Kings in April: Wayne Gretzky, Mike Gartner, Luc Robitaille, Glenn Healy, and Gary Galley. Dan Gratton fitting better. Top-selling NHL jerseys for April in the league: Don Beaupre was first. Wayne Gretzky is the best King at position number 9. Right, and in the playoffs, so Winnipeg lost against Chicago and Montreal beat Pittsburgh. Oh, I have to select a Hall of Fame nominee. There you go. That works for me. Let's advance further. Montreal beat Pittsburgh. Chicago beat Winnipeg again. Both series are 2-0. Montreal is up 3-0 in their series, and so is Chicago. Wow, are we gonna see a double sweep in the conference finals? That would be crazy. Yeah, we did. Wow, both conference finals were swept. So it's going to be Montreal and Chicago in the Stanley Cup Finals. You know how I feel about that. So go Hawks, go. Oh, Alexander McGillney is hurt, huh? Montreal won game number 1, 5-3 in the Stanley Cup Final. Montreal had a really bad record this season. Like, they were 31-43-1. Wait, that doesn't add up. That's because it doesn't show. They were 31-44-5. And they're on the cusp of maybe winning the Stanley Cup. Again. Chicago tied the series 3-2. There you go. Go Hawks. Randy Ladouceur back soon. Alexander McGillney back soon. Randy Ladouceur almost ready. Tim Kerr got hurt changing a tire. That's the first time I've seen that one. He has a fractured foot. It doesn't really matter for the Islanders because they're out of the playoffs, but yeah. Alright, Randy Ladouceur is back. That's nice. I forgot to look at the Stanley Cup Final scores. I'm a terrible, terrible person. Chicago Blackhawks are up 2-1 in their series. That's good, that's good. Montreal came back with a 6-0 victory there, so the Stanley Cup Finals are tied at 2. Rick Meagher may hang them up with Buffalo. He's 37. Alexander McGillney is primed to return. Dan Gratton recovered already. Chicago Blackhawks won 5-3. They are 1 win away from winning the Stanley Cup. Dan Gratton almost 100%. And the Blackhawks are the Stanley Cup champions. They defeated Montreal in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Final with a 2-1 win in Montreal to finish it off. Alright, Chicago defeats Montreal. Alright, so yeah, that sucks for us. We got it pretty bad with the injury bug again in the playoffs. There's nothing I can do to prevent that other than signing a bazillion really good players so that I have enough backups to sustain that whenever that happens. I'm going to go ahead and save the game. I'm actually going to go ahead and stop here for today. We're going to do all of the off-season next time out. So as usual, I do want to thank you for tuning in. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you folks next time. Thank you.